李显龙总理解答易华仁部长的8500元薪水该不该给？交通部长易华仁今年7月11日被贪污调查局逮捕后，很快就被李显龙总理暂停了内阁职务。他负责的西海岸集选区基层事务也由别人暂代。即便如此，易华仁每月仍可获得8500元的薪水，以及照旧领取议员津贴。一个不工作的部长，没为选民服务的议员，为何不停薪？每月工资还高过一般打工族。停职为什么还有钱呢？新加坡前进党非选区议员潘群琴问李总理，易华仁为什么不是放无薪假？他说，部长不是低薪工友，就算没了这笔薪水，也不会无法过活。总理说，这是他作为总理必须做的判断。我必须公平地对待涉事的部长，同时为政府和纳税人做正确的事。他正在接受调查，这不是一件小事。他还没有被定罪，甚至还未被控。如果我说你不能领任何薪水，这公平吗？我想是不公平的。要如何处置被停职的政治职务者？总理说，这没有先例，而牵涉到部长的案件少之又少，他因此参考了公共服务的做法。根据过去的报道，2012年，中央速读局前局长黄文义以及前民防总监林新邦在接受贪污调查局调查期间被停职，两人当时都领取部分薪水。为什么是8500元？这8500元并非凭空捏来的数字，是李总理经过仔细考虑后决定的。李总理回答议员安迪碧山大巴窑集选区者提问时说，在易华仁被定罪前，照理说可以假设对方是无罪的，能在放假期间继续领取全薪，直到事情了结为止。另一个做法是直接判易华仁出局，但他认为那么做是不公平的，因为调查还没结束，不该未审先判。怎么做才是公平的？公共服务处理这类情况的方式是，先暂停这个人的职务，让他领半薪，直到事情了结。这半薪设有上限和下限。他也透露，8500元大约在上限，而这远比易华仁一半的月薪来得少。政治职位的薪金上一次检讨是在2012年，目前一名初级部长的年薪是110万元。易华仁应该已不是初级部长。按公共服务的规定，若涉及违纪的公务员在接受调查后不被解雇或无需接受任何纪律处分，他可以领回之前没有领取的薪水。若最终被判有罪，则不能再领薪，并需面对其他后果。还能领议员津贴。部长薪水和议员津贴是两回事，是否停止发放议员津贴，不由得总理决定。李总理回答工人党议员陈立峰后岗区的问题时说，如果要停发议员津贴，必须通过国会发起动议暂停议员职务，而国会目前并没有那么做。在过往的其他案件中，国会也不曾那么做。根据国会特权、豁免和权利法令，一旦议员被暂停职务，他在停职期间不能领取任何薪水或津贴。国会议员1年的津贴是初级部长年薪的 17.5%， 相当于192500元。为什么被调查还能见他国政要？5月29日，李总理得知贪污调查局在调查另一起案件时，发现与易华仁有关的资料。7月5日，贪污调查局局长寻求总理同意，对易华仁展开正式调查，并在隔日获总理首肯。贪污调查局同月11日正式开始调查。而易华仁曾在7月8日在脸书上贴文，上传他和柔佛州务大臣温哈菲兹一起吃早餐的照片。前进党非选区议员梁文辉问总理，既然早就知道易华仁的事，为什么还允许他代表新加坡与柔佛州务大臣见面？李总理说，我想人们应该了解现实情况。现在出现了一些资料，贪污调查局正暗地里调查一名部长，并把事情告诉身为总理的我，难道我应该马上告诉这名部长，贪污调查局在偷偷地调查你，小心一点？这太荒谬了。总理也说，若马上叫易华仁放缺席假，他又该给什么理由？因此他能做的是确保易华仁继续工作的这段期间不会添麻烦或把洞越挖越深。贪污调查局到底该对谁负责？贪污调查局把调查易华仁一事上报李总理，好些议员询问，如果总理和总统都不批准调查，那事情是否就此不了了之？李总理说，贪污调查局会向某个人报告，他必须向某个人报告，他总不能向神报告。那他要向谁报告？总理认为，问题的根源是人们质疑负责监督审判者的人，但总是得有人做主。而在新加坡，主政的人是总理，若总理也受牵连，那新加坡就完蛋了。正因为如此，我国采取的是双钥匙制度，当总理阻止贪污调查局查案时，局长可以绕过总理，寻求总统批准。总理说，这是否就万无一失？不是的，因为总理可能贪污，总统也会犯错，但这是人类可以设计的最好的、有效的制度。前提是你必须委任诚实的人来负责，这是制度在我国运作的方式。今天的视频就到这里，感谢大家的收看。如果您喜欢我们的节目，请关注新加坡之音。
Because also in the context and environment that we are possibly open to leaks and social media age that we are in, what does that mean in that sort of context? Does it really mean that we actually have to have a different sort of rules or transparent guidelines when a POH or minister is involved?
Basically, we have to judge the situation. In this case, CPIB judged, and I supported them, that they are going to be interviewing a minister. They are going to be interviewing other people. Word will go around town. It's untenable for us to say we have no comment. And therefore, they put out a statement that they are interviewing the ministers, a minister. First of all, nobody knew that Mr. Iswaran might or might not have been doing something wrong. CPIB found out. Nobody tipped them off. Nobody blew a whistle. Nobody raised a public scandal. No PQ in Parliament, not even from the Workers' Party. But CPIB found out. And they told me, and they decided to investigate the matter. And they proceeded. It reached a point where they needed to interview the minister. And then they came to tell me and say, can I have your concurrence? Because CPIB reports to somebody. It has to report to somebody. It can't report to God. So who does it report to? Now, that's a very interesting question. Because the question at the root of it is the age-old problem. Who is to judge the people who judge the people who judge the judges? Who is in charge? Somebody has to be in charge. And in Singapore, the Prime Minister is in charge. And if he is corrupt, you are sunk. But beyond that, we decided to put in an extra safeguard. And that is, if the Prime Minister directs the CPIB, you don't do that. CPIB can go to the President and say, Prime Minister has refused me consent, do you concur? And if the President says yes, then the Director CPIB can proceed. If the President agrees with the Prime Minister that the Director CPIB does not have a case or has gone rogue or is doing something ill-founded and says no, well, that's how two keys work. And therefore, the matter stops there. Is it guaranteed? No, because the Prime Minister may be corrupt, the President may be mistaken, but it's as best it is possible to contrive a system with human beings which will work, provided you put honest people in charge. That's how the system is supposed to work in Singapore. The 11th of July, the CPIB had been working on this case since at least May. So they had some basis to come to some conclusion, and I had to decide what to do with a minister who's being investigated for what could be quite a serious matter, which is a possible corruption offense. That's why CPIB is investigating it. And what do I do? Because I don't have a precedent, I don't have a norm, I look at what the civil service does as a guideline. Their situation is different, but here you have an officer who is under suspicion, who is under investigation. He has not been convicted. A presumption of innocence applies. He is innocent until proven guilty. So I could technically have said, well, presumed innocent, he goes on leave, full pay until the matter is cleared. I could also have said, there's a cloud, I straight away don't want anybody with a cloud, you're out. I think that would have been unjust, because he has not been charged, the case has not been, if there's a case, the case has not been heard, he's not been found guilty or acquitted or whatever. I cannot prejudge a case based on an incomplete investigation started recently, or a partial investigation just entered into the formal phase. So what is a fair thing to do? And the civil service, their practice is, in such situations, you get interdicted, you're put on half pay, subject to a ceiling and a floor, but you are there until the matter is disposed of. If you are, at the end of it, innocent, if nothing is there, your back pay is reinstated to you and made good. If later on, in fact, you're found guilty, well, at that point, your pay will stop completely and other consequences will follow. And I think that is a reasonable model to follow, and that is the basis on which I decided that Mr. Iswaran would be interdicted and that he would be paid $8,500 per month instead of his normal salary. And he was told, acknowledged, and that was done. I think that's the proper way to do things.
The Prime Minister mentioned that in the civil service, the practice is to put them on half pay. I can understand the rationale for that in the case of low-wage earners who may need a regular monthly income in order to survive. But I think that hardly applies in the case of a minister. And for $8,500 a month, that might be small change to some, but many Singaporeans have to work very hard for much less than that.
Here, I have to be fair to the minister involved, as well as do the right thing by the government and the taxpayer. He's under investigation. It is not a minor matter. He has not been convicted. He has not even been charged. Is it fair for me to say your pay goes to zero? I think it is not. What is fair? Well, I looked at the civil service. Civil service says half pay subject to minimum and ceiling. Their ceiling is about here too. So I decided on this number, $8,500, because it's much less than half pay.